Often we hear about, I mean, from our side, that people needing X amount of experience. I need 5, 6, 7, 8 years experience, or you need this set of skills: ABM, digital marketing, pay-per-click, SEO, whatever it might be. In your opinion, then, as someone who's had a very successful career in marketing, how important are those things then versus having the right mindset?
Well, it will definitely depend on the role, but I would say you need both. And the question is, what do you need more of? And I think very early in your career, I think mindset is probably more important. The ability and the willingness to learn, the excitement, the passion. I've hired so many times for potential with people who are early in their career because it's unrealistic to demand 3 or 5 years of experience from someone who just graduated. It's impossible. So you really need to look for that growth mindset, people who want to learn and are willing to put in the time and the effort. The higher up you go, you need experts, especially if, as a VP, I hired department heads, I needed directors. Those people need to have the skills. They need to really have experience in their own specific discipline. However, they still need the mindset. I will hire someone with a little less experience and a better attitude over someone who is, excuse my language, an asshole, but is really good at their job, because you need to have the right culture. Someone with the wrong attitude will actually impact everyone at in your team, and that's going to be a massive challenge. So I do think that you need both. And in different levels, you'll need a little bit more of one or the other.
Yeah. And what about sort of confidence and resilience? Because that sort of mindset comes with that, doesn't it? Sort of building the confidence and the resilience to actually work through this kind of stuff. Any tips there?
Yeah, confidence is a tricky one. Because I think most people assume that you build confidence and then you're able to do things. But in reality, it's the other way around. The more you try things, the more you stretch yourself, the more you build confidence. It's actually a loop, right? So if you take action, you learn something. You either fail or succeed, it doesn't matter, but you learn. When you learn something, you have a little bit more confidence because there's less ambiguity. You know a little bit more about what you can expect. So you have a little bit more confidence to take action, and you start the loop all over again. But it's kind of a catch-22. Where do you start? Because if I don't have confidence right now, how would I take action? And the way that I teach people how to do it, you're going to need to do 3 things. So step number 1, start really, really, really small. You don't need to tackle really big, ambitious goals. I'll give you an example. One of my goals a couple of years back was to spend more time doing public speaking. And I was terrified. Standing on a stage in front of people definitely it was outside of my comfort zone. And every time I thought about it, it felt so big and so terrifying that I couldn't take action. So at some point, I decided I'm going to break this really big, ambitious goal into tiny, tiny action items. And this is what it looked like. Well, step number 1, I need to figure out what I want to talk about. Well, that's kind of easy, right? I just, open up a Google Doc, I write a couple of ideas, not a terrifying task. So I actually did that. I took action. I learned something. I learned that, I have a good idea about what I want to talk about. It gave me a little bit of confidence. Step number 2, look for different events in my area where I could actually apply to be a speaker. Again, not super terrifying. I don't actually need to talk to anyone. It's just a Google search. So I did that. But when you break big tasks into really tiny action items, you start taking action more consistently. And that's how you start the loop and actually allow yourself to build confidence slowly. Now, that's one thing that you can do. The second thing you can do to build confidence is to practice in a safe space. What do I mean by that? For example, if I wanted to do public speaking, going and standing on a stage in front of 200 people would be terrifying. Standing in front of my family and practicing my speech, not a problem. In the same way, if you're not ready to stand in front of the board or the executive team to present something, then just do it with your team. Just find an opportunity to teach someone else in a low-risk environment. And that will give you a little bit of confidence to then go and try and do that, in a high-risk environment. So we talked about taking small steps. We talked about practicing in a safe space. And the last thing you need to do is to fight your own fears. And let me explain how you can do that. Very often, the thing that is stopping us from doing anything that we want is our own thoughts. And the only way to get past that fear is to realize that our thoughts are not facts. Our thoughts are a result of our brain trying to protect us from danger. So when we're trying to do something new, when we're trying to get outside of our comfort zone, our brain, thinks, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. There's potential for hurt and pain. I'm going to have to stop you. And how does our brain stop us? It tells us stories that are usually not true, because our brain knows that if we're scared, we'll never take action. And that's actually what happens when you feel like an imposter.